For Session Update, I'm Shannon Lurkey. The Senate Education Committee held a press conference to announce their top priorities for this 2016 session. DFL legislators spoke about addressing teacher shortages, teacher training and development, student support services, and pre-kindergarten for 4-year-olds. Here's that press conference.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Chuck Wieger. I'm chair of the Senate Education Committee. Today, we're here to announce the DFL Senate education priorities. We have 4 major priorities, and the overall intent is to expand educational opportunities for students. The 4 priorities: teacher shortage. We need the Teacher Shortage Act to get more teachers, highly qualified teachers in the classroom. Senator Dahl and Senator Jensen will address that and some proposals that we will be hearing starting tomorrow. Secondly, teacher training and development. A few years ago, on a bipartisan basis, we passed a robust evaluation law. School board members, teachers, and others have said, that's fine, we want evaluations, but you need to provide the tools in order to have the system work the way we intended. Additional funds for training and development. A lot of support for that. It's a priority of the Senate DFL. Thirdly, for counselors, we have a shortage in Minnesota, ranking near the bottom in our country. That is not acceptable. There's other school support staff that will benefit in our proposal as well. Senator Kent will address the importance of getting more counselors in the classroom to address mental health needs, career planning. This will expand educational opportunities for students. And finally, Senator Katie Sieben will address access for 4-year-olds for voluntary pre-kindergarten. There's been a lot of research, and it says it's the highest return we can get for our limited dollars to invest in early education in high-quality programs. We'll address that as our 4th priority. Starting first, Senator Kevin Dahl will talk about the Teacher Shortage Act, and he will also include some comments on teacher training and development, and then we'll hear from Senator Jensen with some additional work that she has for a great bill on agriculture education. Senator Dahl.
Good morning. I'm Senator Kevin Dahl, Northfield. When I'm not in the Senate, I'm a teacher, and I've been teaching for 33 years. You know, we haven't been talking about teacher shortage for that long. It just seems a few years ago that we really started to see the issue come to light. I recall several superintendents coming to the committee over the last year or so and talking about putting out a notice of openings for elementary teachers. Instead of the usual 150 to 200 applicants, they're only getting 3 or 4. In my own district, Tri-City United last summer, looking for a PE teacher, social studies teacher, usually dime a dozen. We can't find social studies teachers. We're really in a pinch for science and math teachers, ag teachers, vocational technical teachers. So we do have a teacher shortage, and we need to address it on several fronts. In the front end, we need to increase the pipeline of the number of people entering the field. And just because they've entered into an education preparation program, not all of them are staying in. They're not all staying into the program. We also need to address it on the back end. We have large numbers of teachers that are retiring and leaving the profession. And then, of course, we need to really support those teachers that are already in the profession. We need to strengthen teacher development and evaluation and the support systems that are going to help teachers succeed so they actually stay in those careers. The Teacher Shortage Act, Senate File 2513, addresses many of those areas. I'll just highlight a few of the things in the bill. We want to create a statewide teacher job board. While there is something that has been operating, I believe out of St. Cloud State, we would like to strengthen that particular program that all schools could access a education post statewide teacher job board. We also want to increase incentives for college students going into teaching. We're doing that in a couple of areas. We want to increase the number of grants that might be issued to student teachers. It's a burden for people to pay college tuition and then go into student teaching, still paying, but we want to have those grants, especially for teachers going into shortage areas to maybe make some connections, especially in greater Minnesota. We also have part of that as a teacher shortage loan forgiveness program. We want to, as mentioned, support teachers in our schools, providing teacher development and evaluation dollars, really expanding QComp. We think that the QComp, alternative teacher pay system, is good, but why do some schools have it? Why can't all schools have it? So we need additional dollars to support, especially since we're asking our teachers to do even more in the classroom. We also broaden the scope of licensure for teaching. Instead of the Board of Teaching Supports adding general science for grades 5 to 8 to the list of licenses that can be added by the exam to the current 9 through 12 license after 3 years experience. And then we want to build on the Grow Your Own program that has worked well in Minneapolis, where paraprofessionals can actually get help to get a teaching license. We want to expand that statewide. So lots to do. We hope that we can make a small start, first steps to try to address the Teacher Shortage Act. And so we have included some short-term solutions, but we're also looking to the long term. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Vicki Jensen. Agriculture is the state's second largest employer and vital to Minnesota's economy. It creates high-paying jobs, and not only for traditional roles on the farm, but other opportunities in biochemistry, communications, and engineering fields. You've heard it said before, but it's not just about cows and plows. Agriculture classes can help students who also have a difficult time understanding theories and concepts in the classroom in a traditional math class or science class. Ag educators must assume new roles in the classroom and encourage student interaction with their environment to improve learning and comprehension. So what we've been working on when it comes to agricultural classes in the classroom and opening up those opportunities is to make sure we have teachers available that are able to teach in those classes. We did some work last year and we'll continue to do that. We lose agricultural instructors to agribusiness when they go and intern and they decide that they no longer want to serve in the classroom because of, well, a lot of it has to do with pay, that they're able to get at another job. So we're working on that, making sure those teachers are available. The other thing that we're doing this year is to make sure that the teachers have some grant money available so that they can extend those classes into the summer, so that when the real world life things happen in agriculture, the students can get out there and do hands-on experience with that. So extending that programming into the summer, what it does is it provides really a STEM experience and prepares them for careers in agriculture.
Good morning. I'm State Senator Susan Kent. I represent Woodbury Landfall and parts of Maplewood and Oakdale in the East Metro. And this morning I want to speak with you about the Support Our Students Act. There's been a lot of discussion about the low ratio that Minnesota has in counselors to students. It is troubling. We rank 46th in the nation at this point, and it's an important focus for a lot of this attention. It's also a bigger issue. When we look at the broader category of student support staff, these are teams in our schools that are helping our kids. They include counselors, yes. They also include school psychologists, social workers, nurses, and chemical dependency counselors. They address the whole range of needs that students have from kindergarten through 12th grade, so that they can learn well and effectively, so that they can get on a good path academically and towards post-secondary, which we know is so important, and ultimately help lower student debt if they have a good path. The Support Our Schools Act would give districts the opportunity, it's completely voluntary, to participate in a multi-year matching program, and they could create new positions in any of these roles as their staffing needs exist and as their student needs exist. You can understand a case where you have counselors, but they're so focused on social work, they don't have the time to do the necessary academic and college preparation counseling that the students need. So maybe that district needs to hire additional social workers. We've heard so much about increasing mental health needs among our students. We need to be prepared to help support the students and their families to find the resources that they need to make sure those children are well and to make sure that they're in a position to learn and to succeed. This is a long overdue a solution to a long-standing problem in Minnesota. A recent report looked at the overall spending in this category, and we rank dead last in the nation when you add up all of those positions. And it is time that we make this change, and we believe this is a very effective solution to do it. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Katie Sieben from Cottage Grove. I was surprised to learn that Minnesota ranks 41st in the amount of funding that 4-year-olds have access to high-quality preschool programs in Minnesota. Again, we rank 41st out of 50 states in access to high-quality preschool or pre-K programming. The Senate DFL caucus is pleased that the governor has included an initiative to fund high-quality preschool or pre-K programming in his budget, and I look forward to advocating for this position this session. When I think about access to preschool, I think that it's important that we look at successful districts across Minnesota that are already offering high-quality preschool programs. My home district of South Washington County offers 4-year-old preschool programming in targeted areas of the school district where all families, regardless of income, can attend, and they don't pay for that access in those high-need schools. The governor's initiative, and what I hope that the Senate will advance, is a similar proposal where schools can apply for access to preschool programming. So in other words, we're targeting students that need it most, but it's also expanding access through the public education system. One thing that I think has been overlooked when we talk about high quality pre-K is some of the beneficial aspects of it. For instance, and I know this as a working mom myself, how difficult it is to get our kids to school. In South Washington County and in school districts across the state, preschool students, 4-year-olds, can ride the bus, existing school transportation systems that are there. They have access to social workers and licensed nurses and can get some of the support services at age 4 instead of when they enter kindergarten at age 5. These are all really high yield benefits that come with investing in public preschool programs. Of course, we'd like to do more this legislative session, but as I said earlier, I will be pushing our caucus and within the Senate to try to do as much as we can to increase access so that more Minnesota children have access to high quality public preschool education.
Thank you. So there you have it. Those are the DFL Senate's priorities. 4, to expand educational opportunities for students. We want to invest more to address the teacher shortage. We want to provide needed funds for teacher training and development to have robust evaluations. We need more counselors and support staff. And finally, early access for students 4 years old. It's a high quality program that we want, and there's a great deal of need that needs to be met. We also, I'd like to acknowledge several of my colleagues from the committee are here. Vice Chair Alice Johnson, Senator Greg Clausen, Senator John Hoffman, Majority Leader Tom Bach, and I believe a couple of the members are in the hall, Senator Franzen and Senator Saxhog, and I've seen a couple of others as well. Anticipating there may be questions regarding money, I will let you know we're reviewing that right now. We're as a caucus, and perhaps the majority leader, if called on, can comment further. We are setting what our priorities are at this point, and so I can't say the check's in the mail at this point, but I can say these are our priorities, and we're committed to do our very best to deliver on that. So we'll stand for questions.
Senator Uyghur, you predicted my very first question, price tag. I only see one price tag, the $20 million for Senator Kent. What is the ballpark on all of these?
Well, the ballpark, and see how long the leash is here, so we're going to...
Let me try. And, you know, we haven't totally digested the governor's budget yet. I don't believe we even have all the change item pages yet. Senator Cohen gave a presentation to the caucus last week just on the larger spreadsheet with all the committee divisions. And many of the committee chairs went through where they thought the governor was supportive of the direction their committees were going and where they thought he had identified things that the committee hadn't discussed yet. Senator Cohen, I believe, is meeting personally with all the division chairs this week. We have the governor coming to our caucus next week to talk about his budget priorities and the priorities of the Senate. So it's a little early to know how all the pieces are going to come together yet, but certainly education is a priority for this caucus. And but having said that, it's not a budget year. So I think people's expectations need to be a little bit tempered out in the public as to what we're really going to be able to accomplish. But certainly education is high on our agenda.
You've been cautious, though. If any word describes your budget attitude, has been cautious. Can you really find money for all these initiatives this year?
Well, I think everything that they talked about is scalable, right? I mean, so we might not be able to hit a home run on some of these things, but I think some of these things have been nagging problems for a number of years. And I think maybe it's time to get to first base or maybe get to second base on them and kind of set the agenda for next session when we have a full budget year. But some of what we do this year, I think, will give us a little idea where the Senate DFL is going next year when we put the next 2-year budget together.
And one more attempt at a number. Are we talking tens of millions, hundreds of millions?
I think the governor has 127 in the tails, I think, right? The situation with governors are they propose things, and for the legislature to move numbers around, something gets taken away from somebody else. So I think we just don't know yet, but I'd be pretty surprised if we came in less than the governor.
Further questions? Okay, thank you very much.